Very good. Why don't you try that again? Excellent.
We want to practice rhoda etude number 1, the Martele part. Let's first remember that the Martele has 3 motions. First you push the bow into the string, then you release that pressure when you make the stroke, and at the end of the stroke there's no pressure left in your hand. Can you do a few strokes? Very good. Now let's do it a little bit faster, and remember that the arm extension is necessary to keep the bow straight. Very nice. Now let's put it on the etude. That's a beautiful stroke. Let me explain one more detail. You can help the trill with a little bit of ricochet. And this only works all the way at the tip. You put the bow 1 inch above the string and you throw it down with a lot of bow speed. You get a ricochet and the bow will bounce a few times. Very good. If you put that together with a trill, it makes it sound like you're doing many more trills than is possible. That's very good. Now, you have to learn the whole etude, memorize it, and then play it for me next week. Okay, we want to do string crossing and martele. Can you do a martele on the E string from the middle to the tip? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, in order to stay straight when you go to the G string, see what you have to do. Let's lift the arm up, and if you... That's right. Then on the G string, you're no longer straight, so you must extend your elbow even further. And now, in addition, you're on a low string, so you have to change your sounding point. That's right. So that's the biggest extension you will get. Now, let's do our exercise starting down bow on the G string. And you're doing it right. You're changing the sounding points close to the bridge on the higher string and close to the fingerboard on the lower string. Can we do the same thing in the lower half? We want to practice rhoda etude number 1, the Martele part. Let's first remember that the Martele has 3 motions. First you push the bow into the string, then you release that pressure when you make the stroke, and at the end of the stroke there's no pressure left in your hand. Can you do a few strokes? Very good. Now let's do it a little bit faster, and remember that the arm extension is necessary to keep the bow straight. Very nice. Now let's put it on the etude. That's a beautiful stroke. Let me explain one more detail. you can help the trill with a little bit of ricochet. And this only works all the way at the tip. You put the bow 1 inch above the string and you throw it down with a lot of bow speed. You get a ricochet and the bow will bounce a few times. Very good. If you put that together with a trill, it makes it sound like you're doing many more trills than is possible. That's very good. Now, you have to learn the whole etude, memorize it, and then play it for me next week. We're practicing the development from Viaton number 5, and I want to show you how to use the Martele to practice really accurate string crossings at the tip. You want to remember that the string crossing is part of the old motion and happens immediately after the old stroke. Can you try that very slowly? Very good. Now let's do it a little bit faster, but still with all the marteles. Very good. Now when we go really fast, instead of the martele on the upper 2 strings, we can throw the bow and we'll get the same amount of articulation. Let's try it in tempo with the piano. Very good. And as you prepare this for performances, you always want to go back and practice it very slowly with this martele. Violinists use the word staccato for a sequence of fast martele strokes on the same up bow or down bow. In the following exercises, I will show you how to develop a fast but controlled up bow staccato. Each note will need a clean attack, which is generated by pressure on the string, and an explosive release in the direction of the bow stroke. You have 3 different motions available for this technique. I recommend you try all 3 and use the one that feels most promising and relaxed. Here are the 3 motions. You can use a rotation of the forearm. The pronation will cause your index finger to press the bow into the string. The supination will release the pressure. The second motion is an up and down motion of your wrist with consistent pressure on your index finger. When you start the up bow motion with your arm, it will cancel out the down bow motion of your wrist, and you have only a string of up bows left. The third motion is simply pinching the string with pressure between the index finger and the thumb. You should try all 3 motions on the beginning exercise. The easiest motion for you will become apparent after a few days. The key to a fast staccato is consistent practice. 3 minutes of patient staccato practice every day for about 2 years will enable anyone to develop a nice staccato. It is simply a matter of daily discipline. We will start to practice staccato, and the first thing we will do, we'll try to find a speed that's comfortable. We will start you out at metronome number 72. It goes like this. Good. Can you try that? Very good. Let's try it a little bit faster. We'll go to 84. You want to make sure that the first note is always a really strong martele. Try this. Great. Do you want to go any faster than that?
Sure.
Sure? Okay, let's go to 96. Let's see how that works. That's great. So what you want to do when you practice staccato, you want to practice the fastest comfortable speed. In other words, don't try a speed that doesn't work. Yeah? So I want you to practice that for about 2 weeks and then come back to me and maybe we can speed it up to 100 or to 104. We're practicing staccato on Kreutzer number 4. Our tempo is 108. We want to practice it with a rest after each 8th note. We want to make sure that each staccato run starts with a really solid martele on the first note. Can you try that? Mm-hmm. Very good. You want to watch the string crossing. You want to make sure your arm moves smoothly to anticipate the crossing of the strings. And you want to keep a certain amount of pressure on your index finger to make sure each of the staccato notes speaks really well. Now let's try it without the rest. Very good. This is how I want you to practice it for this week. And next week we'll try to speed it up to maybe 112 or 116. Thanks. We're speeding up our staccato and we're using Kreutzer number 4, the last 3 lines. Let's try it at metronome number 96. Here we go. Very good. Now let's go to 104. Here it is. Good, that works great. Let's push it all the way to 116. Here we go. Great. Practice that for about 2 weeks, and then we'll try maybe 120. Very good. We're playing the staccato section from Paganini's 21st Caprice. There are two types of string crossings we need. The first one is a gradual string crossing. You have to anticipate getting to the next string as you play the scale down. Can we try that? That's great. The next string crossing is really fast. It's part of the old motion on the last note on the G string, and then you grab a really strong martele for the first note on the E string. Very good. Then when the arpeggio section comes, we have to reverse it, so the notes going up are going to be gradual, and the change to the G string has to be very fast. Try that. Very good. Now let's run it in tempo.